Hello, everyone. I am back today with another Family Entrepreneur Life member story. We are on episode number 10 with Andrea Stevens, and I am so excited for her to be on the show today and to share her very powerful story with you. Andrea is a wife, a mother of 4 boys. She is active in the natural health and wellness coach business. And I'm going to just let her kind of fill in the gaps and give her more of a background introduction. So, Andrea, welcome. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about you?
Okay. Like you said, I am married to Todd. We're coming up on our 20th year anniversary in February. And we have 4 sons. Yeah. And we still have 2 that live at home with us and 2 that are in college and kind of doing life. Anyway, we just recently, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in a few minutes, we just recently moved across the country from Texas to Nashville, Tennessee, just about 9 weeks ago. And anyway, we downsized from a over 3,000 square foot house on half an acre with all that goes with that. And we're in a 1,400 square foot apartment. And we got rid of basically everything, and it's kind of crazy. And like currently, we're doing this interview. I'm sitting on my bed with the laptop propped up with pillows. So I mean, what we do, what you got to do, right?
Exactly. So, Andrea, tell me. So, where did you guys? What were you kind of in when you were in Texas? You had the big house. You kind of had like that dream of the life you were living.
Yeah, I think both Todd and I have always had an entrepreneurial spirit. We have owned a couple of our own businesses. We owned a bed and breakfast for 5 years early in our marriage. Yeah, that's a whole other story. That's a book of its own. But I had been working in the corporate world. I mean, having 4 kids, you got to make ends meet, you got to pay bills, whatever. And so I had been working in the corporate world, doing some creative marketing. I have a design background. I went to the Art Institute and I have a design background. And so creative and that kind of stuff, that wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't jiving with me because, we talk about having a 9 to 5, but it's really 8 to 5 on the clock, but it's really 7 to 6 with drive time. Mm-hmm. And it was tough. 4 kids. And so anyway, I guess I should say, so the third of my 4 sons was diagnosed with ADHD when he was 7 years old. He is 15 now. So this is an 8-year journey. Mm-hmm. And I won't get into it just a whole lot, but it was the catalyst that sent me on this entrepreneurial journey that I'm on right now. We just went along and did regular pharmaceutical medication like a lot of people do, just based on what our doctor had told us for about 4 years, but it wasn't working well. Things in our family dynamics weren't working well, and we began to have a lot of issues between our family and school, which was then affecting jobs. It was affecting the marriage. It affects all of your relationships when you have a child that has needs like that. And so it was 4 years in, so I guess about 4 years ago, I started looking for something more. I didn't know what that was, and so I started an online journey like so many people do when they have an idea or they need information. They get on it and they start Googling. And so I did, and I began my journey then through natural health and wellness and alternative and more holistic kind of things. And I had never done anything like that before. I was not at all. Anyway, so it's been quite a journey in that respect. And so then fast forward a couple of years, things really hit a wall with him at school, and we had a bullying situation where the school district had to get involved. He was the victim with 9 other kids, and they ended up having to move us into a different school, and a lot of changes began to happen in our family, and not for the best. And so getting up every day and going into that corporate job and working all those hours for someone else when I had so many things pulling me at home and back at home really began to weigh on me. Also, at the same time, this journey into natural medicine had led me to begin to meet other people in this world, both online and in person. And I began to meet with people one-on-one, and I began to have more contacts online, and I began to grow a network just of people in a support system, kind of through my son. And that led to me wanting to explore that more, which then led to, well, how do I do an online business, or maybe have a website, or how do we do things where we can talk to people? And so it just all exploded from that point. And so it culminated in September of 2015. I was on a business trip in Boston, and my husband was back home with all the kids, and we decided we were going to meet in Denver for a long weekend and then drive back home to Texas. And I had begun to have severe arm pain. And I actually had posted this the other day in the group. But anyway, this pain would not go away. And of course, this holistic stuff that I'm doing. So I talked with my chiropractor, and I have an emotional, a girl who's hosting with like some emotion stuff. Mm-hmm. And they kept telling me that it was a manifestation of something emotional that was going on. And I really needed to get to and I think I knew. Anyway, hard conversation with my husband that weekend, and I just said, I don't think I can do this anymore. I think I need to be home, and I know that we need money. I know that we need something, and so I have this idea. Can we have some time? Let's look at the finances. Let's look at whatever, and can I try this idea? And he was on board 100%. And I'm telling you, it was just a matter of a couple of days, and the pain went away, and it was debilitating. It was keeping me from using the mouse at work. I couldn't touch the doorknob. I mean, I was truly in a lot of pain. And so that did speak to me again, that I teach. I had been teaching. Essential oils are a part of the therapy that we use with my son. That's not my main focus or goal. But I had been asked by an RN locally to teach some classes in regards to how we used that for him. And one of the things that I actually taught about is it's called a detox cycle, and how our bodies will manifest physical symptoms when we are emotionally and physically and mentally not balanced. I had to stop and say, Andrea, you've got to listen to your own advice. You teach this stuff, and you need to pay attention. And so my body was telling me it was time. And that's when I left the corporate world. And so then I was like, well, shoot, I got to figure out this online stuff. What am I doing? And like so many people that are probably in your group and watching this, that shiny object syndrome kind of thing hits. And so it was course after course, group after group. It was a whole lot of stuff over the last couple of years to culminate into a program in a place where other parents can gather and meet to talk about some natural solutions and some things that we do. We were able to take my son off of his medications 4 years ago, and he's thriving now and doing so well. And it was a long, hard process, and it's not for everyone. But I don't know, was that a long way to... So the business part is helping people. It's an adventure. And so my business is, my umbrella business is Living Your Essential Life. And that encompasses everything from nutrition and emotional and just all kinds of things, organic and natural and lots of lifestyle stuff. And then one of the spaces under that is the ADD stuff, or the adventures is what I call it. And I'm hoping to be able to reach out to more families that are dealing with this, and to offer some hope and encouragement and
I love that
application.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, I'm hearing an odd echo. Hopefully that's not, everyone else can't hear it.
I haven't touched. Sorry.
No, yeah, I haven't touched any buttons. Technology was not our friend earlier, people. So no, I love that you have been able to take that journey that you have, and the fact that you're opening up and helping other people to do that, I think is huge, because it's not easy to put yourself out there, and it's not easy to talk about, the hard parts of life that go on behind the scenes, but knowing that you can help other people by telling your story I think is very encouraging for everyone else out there to say, oh, hey, if she's doing that, like, I can do that too. And then doing it in a way that supports your family. So The next piece that I want to jump over to, which you kind of alluded to at the beginning, was your recent cross-country move, and kind of what jump started that, and then some of the emotions and just things that you were kind of feeling during that transition, because as we talked, I know there are a lot of people out there that deal with, different aspects to this. And I think that some people probably haven't hit upon that yet, but may have that happen in their life. And I think it would be really, really helpful for them to see, like, hey, she went through this
Right.
really, really tough thing, and her family went through this really, really tough thing. But now look at you're happy, you're living a more fulfilling life, and it turned out to be a good thing.
Okay, so we have this great idea. We're going to move forward, and it's going to be this wonderful success, and we're going to get rich quick, and we're going to be able to stay home with our family and vacation and travel and all this whatever.
Yes.
And then it doesn't, and then life happens, right? Because it happens to all of us. Okay, so I'll list through just really quickly some bullet points of our life, some things of life that happened to us over the last couple of years. But the truth is we all have this story, okay? So our things are different, and the level at which they happen affect us differently. But we had a water leak on our second floor that burst through our dining room floor and caused an enormous situation, and insurance came in and actually moved us out into a hotel for a while to have to do some repair work. So we had to transition to a hotel. Right as the construction was being finished on that, a tornado came through where we lived in Texas, and our house was, 3 sides of our house was in rotation, and it took out our second floor, which had just been repaired. And so we found ourselves having to deal with that. We had just recently lost my husband's father. So my mother had already passed, his mother had passed, and now, so this is the third of our parents. And that began this snowball effect. I don't even know if I can get into it. We had a small gaming business on the side where it was like a trailer that it was broken into and destroyed and vandalized where we had it parked. It just one thing after another began to happen. And we knew in that moment, we said, okay, we need to pare down maybe. Let's maybe sell the house. Let's get out from underneath some of this responsibility. We have some different goals and some different dreams. So let's sell off the business. Let's do these different things. Well, the house wouldn't sell. And the situation at home with kids got a little bit crazy, and we sent one off to college, and he wasn't thriving very well at this big, huge school in a different state. And so he had to come back home. So a whole new dynamic happened again after just, figuring out the dynamic of one of them leaving for college. We had, like I alluded to earlier, the bullying situation that escalated. It just felt like almost on a weekly basis, something was coming at us, and it was keeping us from the business. It was keeping us, from marriage. It was keeping us from just the stresses were so incredibly overwhelming. And it truly snowballed, and it was about an 18 to 24 month period of time of just thing after thing after thing after thing that kept happening, and we couldn't seem to get in front of it or recover. And then it culminated December 29th of just this last year when my husband went into work, his job of 13 years, and by about 9:30 that morning had lost his job, and he was back home. And no warning, no anything. And we just thought, are you kidding me? I mean, wherever, people watching this, if you come to a place of any kind of belief or the universe or God or whatever, but it just puts you in this place of just, am I doing the right thing? What am I doing? Did I make bad choices? Did I do something wrong? I thought I was meant to help people. I thought I was meant to move forward. I thought I was here to help my kids and be with my family, and everything was just, and so finances, obviously, I can't keep this in. The finances, at the heart of it, we have to have money for everything, right? You have to be able to pay your mortgage and your bills and feed your family. And when the money goes, and when all these things begin to happen, it's the stress. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you listening, like I said, it all happens to us in different ways and at different levels. Yeah. And some of us have bigger cushions, and some of us, than others. But needless to say, after the end of this 18-ish month period of time, when it culminated in the loss of the job, there was no money left. And it was just so much stress and pressure. But the funny thing was, the very day that he lost his job, That afternoon, he received a phone call from somebody in Nashville, and it was a headhunter in his field asking if he would submit a portfolio or be interested. And it felt so out of the blue. It was also felt divine. I mean, it was the very day that he had lost this position, and we're like, what the heck, universe, God, what are you doing, you know? And it truly was a matter of days. I mean, days. And our whole life we had decided, okay, obviously this is what we need to do. And we just decided we're going to go. So spring break came up for our kids, and we decided to go to Nashville to check it out. And he had a series of interviews lined up. And we drove, and we spent a week in Nashville, and he interviewed and did a bunch of stuff, and we fell in love with the city. And so we went back, by this time it was March, and we thought, okay, we have this little bit of money in our hands, and it's enough to get us there, fairly-ish. Is it time to start our whole life over? And we're having this conversation as we're driving back to Texas from Nashville, and my husband's phone rings. And he answers it in the middle of our conversation, and it's the realtor, and we just got an offer on our house. And the house, I mean, almost 2 years that had been on the market, we couldn't get nothing. And so got a solid offer on the house. And we were like, okay, this is our son. It's meant to be. And we had a senior in high school, so we still had one kiddo that we couldn't leave during his senior year. So we knew we had to finish the school year out for all of our kids, get our kiddo graduated, and get college figured out. And so we literally went home, and my younger two boys and I made a paper chain of how many days it was going to be, and we hung it on our living room wall. And every day, every night before bed, we would cut a link off of our chain on our countdown to our move. And we sold everything. I mean, we had garage sales, and we sold and sold and sold, and we whittled our life down to a 6x12 U-Haul trailer. And we pulled it behind our, Suburban and left on May 30th. We pulled out and drove to Nashville. And at that time, neither of us had jobs yet. We had secured an apartment. We had, a little bit of funding to get us where we needed to be. And on day 2, it was a 2-day journey. And on the second morning after breakfast, we were nervous, and we'd been talking over breakfast. Okay, we're about to pull it. We're going to pull into Nashville today. We're so excited for the kids. And we look at each other, and we're like, oh, how are we going to do this? We don't have it. We just have to trust. We just have to trust and believe. And he gets in one car with one kid, and I'm in the other car with the other. And we're tootling down, and about 2 hours later, he exits. He puts his blinker on for an exit, and I'm like, oh no, I guess it's a potty break, right? Pulls over, and he just can't believe it. And he's shaking his head, and he comes over to my car, and he goes, you're not going to believe it, but I just got a job offer. And,
oh my God, you're giving me goosebumps.
And it was the day we pulled in to Nashville. I mean, it was crazy. It was so crazy. And so, I guess it was just meant to be. And it's just for all of the snowball downhill that happened to us the 18 months previous, the last 9 weeks, since we've been here. Well, that's not true. I guess since the decision to come here. So probably back in March when we made that decision, it's all just snowballed the other direction. I mean, it is just like, it's like everything's just laid out in front of us, and the path has been relatively easy. I mean, it's still life. Things still happen. There were emotions to deal with, leaving our home, our kids, all, a lot of things went into that. But it's been an amazing journey. And I think we would have, one of the points that I want to make clear to people is, number one, none of us would choose this. None of us would looking at all that go, yeah, I want to choose that path. That's the path for me. We wouldn't do that. But it was chosen for us. And I think maybe we fought against some things. I know I kind of go back. I'm a believer. I do believe in a higher power, and I do believe in God. And I think that maybe we needed to make this decision sooner, but we weren't listening, and so all these, I don't know how you want to put it, but I very much feel like it was so obvious to us that as soon as the worst possible thing at that moment that could happen was lose the job, the last source of income, the last thing that was holding us together, when it was taken away from us like that, and there was truly nowhere else to go, we then had to face reality and say, okay, what are we going to do? What are we willing to do? Let Heather Gray, what she said the other day about, what are you willing to do to make it happen? And again, we're not heroes because we didn't choose it. It happened to us, but oh my goodness, the freedom that we have felt since then has been amazing. Getting rid of all the stuff that we accumulated all those years, you know, there's a lot of freedom in that. A lot of freedom in that.
So I want to go back because
Yes.
you called yourself, you said you aren't heroes, but I feel differently about that because you know what? I think you are heroes in a way that could have happened to a lot of people. And there are so many ways that they could have dealt with that wouldn't have ended up where you are. And I think that that's one of the traits of a lot of entrepreneurs that I very much am in awe of a lot of times is that it doesn't matter how many times we get dealt a bad hand or how many times we fail at something, but there's just this I don't know, this like inner power or this inner need to keep going and to do things no matter what. And the fact that both you and your husband and then your family on top of that, because I mean, you had 2 boys still living at home with you, the fact that you were all able to go through all of that really, really hard stuff. I mean, that's horrible things to have to go through one after another after another. And then to be able to make that decision together as a family to say, hey, this isn't working. We're going to take this huge, huge step out of our comfort zone and do something crazy and sell our house and sell all of our stuff and move across country into a small apartment. Like most people wouldn't be willing to make that choice. So I know you said you didn't choose the journey you had, but you did in a way you chose your reaction to it and you chose to not let it keep you down. And I think that's just, that part of your story is just so, I don't even know the word right now because you literally gave me goosebumps multiple times in your story. And, you know, I'm starting to tear up because I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine going through that. And like you said, no one would choose to put their family through that, but life happens. And knowing what's important to you and choosing what's best for your family, no matter what, you have to sell off your house or sell off all your stuff. You know, it's not fun, but you did it because you want to be there for your family and you wanted a life together. So I commend you for that because I think that is just amazing.
Well, and I think that can go back to something in our marriage. Like I said, it's coming up on 20 years, right? And we have been dealt some crappy hands. I mean, we don't have parents anymore. You know, we raised these kids without that support. And that's tough in and of itself to deal with that. And those are just some highly emotional things that we went through. And then my husband's father, when I mentioned when he passed away, my husband and his dad were both diagnosed with brain tumors 3 weeks apart from each other. My husband's is not cancer, but his dad's was. And so we actually had to go through that journey at the same time of not even being able to be selfish enough to deal with your own diagnosis and your own treatment and what we need to do. But we also, he was the last parent and we had to, you know, go through that. And so I'm only bringing those things up to say that through the loss of both of our mothers and his father and the diagnosis of my husband with his tumor, we realize how precious things are and how fleeting it is, right? And the stuff, the accumulation of stuff fills a void and it's comfortable for a while. But then there's also that realization that none of it's going with you, right? When we go, and that we're meant for a bigger purpose. What is the legacy? We ask ourselves that a lot, my husband and I. He says it like this. He tells my boys, he always says, I want to throw you a little further than my parents were able to throw me. And he's like, I want to leave a legacy for you. I want to leave something for you that's just a little bit better and a little bit further, you know, from us. And so I think we were of one mind. And that's a big thing because I know we just talked about in your group earlier this week, you know, having communication with spouses, especially in the entrepreneurs. I'm really grateful to have a supportive husband. We are a team in this, and I know that that's not always the norm. But I think we've taken our knocks in other areas. So thank God that's not one of ours right now, right? Because like we've had enough. But both of us realizing and coming to that and saying, listen, this is a huge, crazy chance. We're seriously going to throw it all away, take the most important stuff, and we're going to run to something new and better. Because, we're in our early 40s, and you're just like, it's not going to be forever. And our parents didn't have those guarantees. They all died relatively young, and we don't want to I'm not trying to focus on that and think about that, but it does leave an impression on you, and you want to make the most of what you have. And so, yeah, I say running, I don't know, we were truly running towards it. We were so excited to be here. It's just amazing. But that's not to take away the fact that I have a kiddo who was not thrilled to be here. Mm-hmm. And I have one. We were kind of split 2 and 2. I had one so excited to come, and the oldest one, he's been on his own for a while, so he's like, yeah, whatever, I love you guys, But my 2 middle ones, they didn't want any part of it. It was super hard, and we had to have lots of hard conversations. Mm. We actually did seek out a little bit of family counseling to help us with the transition. Not afraid of that. So that I highly encourage that if anybody needs to, help us be able to talk and communicate and work on some of those things. But it's been a journey, and we all have those journeys, and we all have those things. But I guess, yeah, I don't know.
Yours is a little bit crazier.
Yeah.
So before we kind of close out today's show, is there any, we've had a lot of great pieces of advice and just some, you've shown a light on a lot of different areas, I think, for people, but is there any one piece of advice or any one lesson learned that you want to share with everyone?
We talk about a vision board, we talk about plans, we talk about mapping out our goals, we talk about that kind of stuff. But man, you have to be resilient, and you have to be willing to change, and you have to be willing to reshape yourself and mold yourself. And life is going to happen, and thank God, and hopefully it doesn't happen to the extent, with tornadoes and deaths and losses of jobs and that kind of stuff. But life does happen to us all the time. And so I would say the ability to twist and turn and shift and every morning wake up and if we need to take a left or a right or whatever we need to do, to be able to do that and not be so set in that goal and so focused that everything else, that it can break you. Because I think it could break you. My goal is still there. I still want to help people. I really thought that I would be further along in helping families than 2 years. I thought 2 years ago I would already have my group. And I do. It's happening. It's slowly. There are people that I'm resonating with and I'm starting to build relationship with. I wish it was faster. It's part of the journey, right? I'm learning.
I think we all wish that it were just happening a little bit faster, but the knowledge is in the after part of the journey, I think. And that's, you can't see it while it's happening. Yes, for sure.
Is, I guess, that if I had to narrow it down to one word, be flexible and don't let it steal your dream or your passion. Life is life, man. Just make it a part of your journey and embrace it, I guess, and go with the flow, because we're always learning. There's always a lesson.
Yes, for sure. Andrea, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your crazy, oh my goodness, like goosebump worthy story with us. Where can people find more about you, your group, your adventures? Share that with us, and then we'll make sure that we post the links down below.
Living Your Essential Life is my parent company, and so livingyouressentiallife.com is the website. Also on Facebook, I have a Facebook page, and then Your Essential Life Community is my group, and you are more than welcome. Anyone out there, we'd love to have you. And the adventures, the ADD adventures, which is my new thing that I'm going to be doing. I'll be talking about that in all those platforms. So, but Your Essential Life is Living Your Essential Life is where you can find me.
Awesome. So thank you again for coming on. And for anyone
having me.
watching or anyone watching the replay, if you've got any questions that you want to ask, if there was any point in Andrea's story that you just really connected with, please share that with us, comment and tag us, and we will be sure to come back in and respond. And then for any of you who are watching this from a different platform, if you are a family entrepreneur, someone building their business to create that fulfilling life for their family, we would love to have you join us as well in the Family Entrepreneur Life community. So you can get to that at familyentrepreneurlife.com. All right, that is all for our show today. Andrea, thank you again. And everyone, thank you for watching.